and welcome to I Heard You When You Said, the only podcast where you get to wield your weapon of choice while drinking coffee. Oh, look at you. That was a surprise.
I know.
I didn't know you had some in your pocket today.
It's a little bit of that knife ASMR for you.
You know, on the last time we recorded, we had bourbon ASMR. So, knife ASMR, we could just, there's a whole other segment of who we are. Oh, that people are missing. Our sound effects.
The ASMR side. Yes. If you want the bourbon ASMR though, there's a low threshold of entry to get that. And that is you have to be a part of the school group.
Yeah, the Fortify Health.
Got to be a part of the Fortify Health co-op. And that's where we record the GLP confessionals, as we have affectionately named them, which sounds a little bit more like a late night talk show. Confessionals, right?
Yeah.
Or it sounds like a drama. It sounds like something that, like a tell-all. That's what it sounds like to me when you say it like that. It is a tell-all.
Without the drama.
It's the anti-dramatic drama.
It's the anti-dramatic drama.
So we share tips and tricks and Stacy's story and my story. I am not on a GLP. Let's not put that into the world. I am using a peptide though. And so we talk about Stacy's journey so far with it. My recent addition of into the peptide game. We talk about practical things. We talk about strategic things. We talk about how they get talked about in the culture and the story we tell ourselves about them and what most people think versus where the truth really lies based on our experience and our understanding. And so it's just a cool little mini series we do. We got 4 episodes in there now?
Yeah. So if you are the person who's listening to this who is on a GLP, considering a GLP, or is tapered off a GLP, we are the people that you want to listen to because we're telling the story.
Because we know what we're talking about. To the best of our ability. As far as we know what we're talking about.
We are biased towards each other that we think we're pretty cool and cool is an opinion that we share about ourselves and what we do. And to my best description, it's accurate.
I believe you.
I know you do, because you're right here with me. You're right here with me. We have similar delusions, sir.
Similar delusions. You're wearing the fishnet today.
Yeah, I am.
Green fishnet.
I mean, we don't match today.
I'm wearing the, technically your tank top is black.
Yes, it is. That is accurate.
And I'm wearing the shirt that my arms look good in.
I was like, are you going to say it? Are you going to say it?
But that's the only reason I said it. With the little slits in the bottom.
Yeah.
The slit shirt. Busting out the shirt.
My husband gave you a compliment last night.
He did.
Yeah.
Not to my face, obviously.
I told him to tell you.
Jeez, Ted. Come on, bro.
He said your quads looked really good yesterday.
Oh, was I wearing shorts? Oh, I guess I was wearing shorts, wasn't I?
Yeah, after you came to pick up cookies, he was like, dang, Justin's quad game is fierce. I'm like, I haven't noticed, but I love that you did, husband.
Tell him I'm not. I'm accepting no compliments until they include his back looks like a slab of meat. Okay, that is the threshold for compliments that I'm accepting at this point.
Then what you might have to do is what you would need to do.
Walk in backward shirtless.
Is walk in backward shirtless into my house.
That would be comical.
Is that my husband would tell me that your back looked like a slab of meat, and then live on a podcast, I would be like, "Hey, my husband thinks that your back looks like a slab of meat."
Yeah, it gets interesting quick.
Well, with both of our spouses, the way they communicate to through us to
about the other person. Mm-hmm. Yes.
When they have access, Paige has access to me, Ted has access to you. They could very easily communicate directly to the source.
Well, speaking of that, I've gotten not one, count them two reels from Ted in the last 2 days.
Do you know what that means? He missed you.
He missed me.
He did miss you.
He did. He realized that he realized he didn't realize what he was missing until he missed me.
I agree. And I will say that,
to be fair, I gave him a compliment with you up here yesterday, and I did not relay it to him.
You gave him a compliment? What did you say?
When I was telling you about how he runs without his glasses on, and to me he looks, his posture is different, his attitude is different when his glasses aren't on. Right.
Yeah, that Marine shows up.
I don't get to see that, though, very often. I mean, obviously he's in transition, getting back to Texas right now from California, and when he was here, it just wasn't something that was prevalent.
Also, he was in a different headspace then.
Yeah.
So I will say that this has been, I mean, though our families have known each other for about 2 years, that this is the most fun we're having, like the most natural it feels with all of us together. And it makes me excited for when we actually all get to live here, when it's not Ted in transition, when it's normal. And, you know, he comes, I already told him, like, hey, we already know that you're going to steal Blakely. And he, like, kept it on the low down. Like, he wasn't excited about this. I'm like, oh, you sweet man. I know you so well. You know that we have Blakely up here. You are so going to sneak up these stairs and steal the baby.
Or when your kids move down here.
Oh.
I mean, that's longer time horizon than Ted getting here, and longer time horizon than having Blakely here. And it's going to be even more fun. See, I'm excited for when we get to go back to celebrate Ted's birthday again or something like that. Mm-hmm. That's really the only time legitimately where our entire, like your entire family and my entire family have been together in one place for, well, ever, and for several days together. Right. So yeah, we get to do that again, and better this time, and better.
So much better. When my kids start having kids, this is going to be the most, the things I look forward to is him being a grandpa. I think my kids are going to melt watching like this next era of like the softness of their dad. That and I don't know that this is accurate, but I wouldn't doubt that my boys have all girls. Like we had 5 boys. Like to watch my boys be girl dads. Oh my gosh, I would so be down for that.
I could see that.
What are we talking about today, though? Because we started on so many different places.
We're just giving updates. She's giving updates to everybody.
I love that context too, because we don't, for as much as we do share about our personal life, we don't share a lot about the inner workings of how our family works together, and you know, the dynamics between all of that. And I know people are curious, so that was a good update.
Sure. So I was thinking recently.
Hold on. Let me adjust my seat.
Adjust.
I might even like need to pull my boobs up or something for this, for about what you're about to drop.
Adjust the posture. That we overcomplicate this thing we call health and fitness in our culture.
Legitimately mean we in this dual we, or mostly a little bit me? Is this truthfully we?
No, I mean we as the collective, we as a culture.
Okay, I agree.
Yes. So yeah, no, not interpersonal we. Yeah. So we as a people, because of our access to data and opinions and collective knowledge now, internet wise and all that, that we really get into the weeds on things, so much so that it actually blocks us from the intention of why we would do it in the first place. And it becomes a dogma of fitness or a dogma of health rather than a collective effort to raise everybody's health awareness, right? Which I do believe that there are people who do this legitimately trying to be as unbiased and uh, um, data backed and whatever as possible. And there's just no amount of presentation you're going to be able to do where people will pay attention to where you don't put a little bit of flavor and a little bit of your own experience into the opinion, into the statement, that you're not going to get some type of flack, right? And so as I'm thinking about that, I'm like, okay, well, what are the categories if somebody wanted to go, okay, here's the buckets of things that that you need to pay attention to as you are working to improve your health. Okay. I came up with a few words.
You did.
And
these are good too.
I made them all start with an S,
which is my favorite.
Because it's just easier to remember. And so here they are. The categories are.
I feel like there should be a drum roll. Like this is a game show, and these are the names of the category. So in your best announcer voice, the categories are:
sweat, sex, sear, sleep, and story.
That was good.
Okay. So 5 categories. All right. And let's break these down. Let's give these bite-sized definitions just so people understand the concept, and then we can go into them a little bit more.
Absolutely.
Okay, each individually. So sweat is going to refer to your movement, right? So if you're sweating, you're moving in the right direction. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to sweat, and it's a word that makes you pay attention to the category, right? Sweat. Sex, that could be a lot of things. And yes, the act of sex, but also how are your relationships, right? Because typically that's what we think of when we talk about sex and sexual relations. So, are you actively engaged? Are you sexually active? And are you using your relationships to benefit are your relationships benefiting your health, right? Do you have healthy relationships and positive relationships? SEAR, SEAR, refers to.
Come with a sound effect when you say it. Yeah.
Refers to your ability to cook for yourself. Okay. So I thought of, okay, well, what would be an S word that would mean you did it yourself, like you cooked, you influenced your own food consumption, right? Sear, saute, steam, right? You could say a lot of things. Stove. Yeah. Sear's cooler, right? I know cool. I know cool's an opinion. I think it's cool. So sear is referring to the ability to influence your own food, cook your own food, and control what goes into your body. Sleep is obvious. That's your recovery. That's your ability to go to sleep. That's your ability to have quality sleep and wake feeling refreshed and that. And then story, which is the most interesting one in my opinion. That story is the mindset side of things. Story is the story we tell ourselves. That's the story that I'm referring to in this list. Okay. So we've got sweat, sex, sear, sleep, and story. And I believe, and I've seen, that if somebody has an active handle on each one of those categories and they are paying attention in some way, shape, or form to each one of those categories, then their chances of living a healthier, more vital, even longer, and just more fun life is going to drastically increase. So there you go.
I agree. So if we were going to make this, since we are making this simple in this functional health space, would you call these the 5 pillars of how do we want to package this? Here's why I'm asking this. This is super pivotal. That it is really challenging to make the complicated simple, and you've done it. So yes, they are 5 S words. They are phenomenal. We will get into them in totality of how people can structure their lives around it, and even how this shows up in our life.
Mm-hmm.
And going from where you started, going, hey, this is this cumbersome thing, and people have tried to explain it, and what do we really do? You boil it down to 5 things. Okay, did I sweat? Do I have healthy sexual and intimate relationships? Can I cook for myself, provide for myself? What does my recovery look like? And what's the story I tell about all of that to myself, about not just the story itself, but all those other things? That's what thriving looks like. That's
Mm-hmm.
what it is to legitimately fortify your life
Mm-hmm.
when life be lifing against whatever may come. So if these are, do you like pillars? What do you prefer? Do you have a better word that you like?
The word keystones is coming to mind.
Ooh, okay.
Or let's shorten it. Keys. Keys to a healthy life. Right.
You know that I love keys. Well, I don't know that. Do you know that I love keys? Like old skeleton keys?
Well, you have a tattoo of one.
I do have. Do you know what this tattoo means?
You've told me before. Tell us again.
It's a key to every locked door.
Okay. Well, it's on your skin permanently, so I'm sure there's more.
Well, here's the thought behind that. A skeleton key can open about any door, right? That's what it was.
Sure, yeah. It's a
key,
template.
It's a template
Yep.
that you could open any door. And so from my perspective in life is how I handle no's. That there are doors that have been shut. I'm like, I have the key to every locked door. It might not open right now. If I stay long enough and am persistent and patient in my endeavors, the door will open in time. We're not knocking it down. We're not taking a battle ram. We're not causing harm or damage. Is that I have the ability to, if there's a door that's currently closed, with enough patience, chutzpah, because it requires chutzpah.
It does. Okay? It does require.
It requires.
There's a requirement there.
Yeah, there's zhuzh and chutzpah there, that it opens every locked door. And it is the reminder to me when there are obstacles in front of me that feel like I can't open or can't break through. I'm like, it's a visual reminder, like, you have a key to every locked door. Try it again. You have a key to every locked door. Try it again.
Cool.
That's also why there's a key downstairs above my window, a giant key.
Yeah.
You know, I love visual reminders.
And it's themes and it's visual reminders and it's big and it's on your arm, right? It's everything. It's everything that keeps it to the front of your mind and keeps you operating in that capacity. So in that theme, right?
Keys.
These being the keys to a good life, a good, long, healthy, vital, add your positive descriptor here, type of life. Where my experience lies is that people want to try to optimize everything at the same time.
Like right. All 5 areas. Like, I'm going to have.
Correct. Or they over optimize the area that they like the most. That's another potential thing. Like, oh, I'm really good at working out, but my relationships suck. I don't sleep well. My
story's loud.
Yeah, my story's loud. And yeah, sure, I might cook for myself, potentially. So there's versions of that for every one of those categories, right? So for every one of those keys. The point being here, I want to make sure that we return to this because, we repeat ourselves for a living. It is the fact that it doesn't matter which one you pick. Every one of them there is a version of every one of them that's accessible to everybody. Okay. So you can have anything you want in all of these, but you can't have everything you want at the same time, right? You can do whatever you want to do in every one of these categories. Okay. 5 categories. And there are some truths here.
Okay. What's accurate?
That they're not all going to improve simultaneously. one of them tends to influence the rest of them. Mm-hmm.
Are you making me guess, or do I already know?
No, I'm going through some things that I believe to be accurate about these.
Okay. I
And
do agree that one of them influences all of them.
and should no every one of them influences other ones. It's not one that influences everything, right? And
Okay.
that that wasn't what I was stating.
Okay,
I'm not disagreeing with you because I can see the like little
I'm listening.
yeah, I can see it. I can see the skepticism.
You also heard the okay.
Yeah, I heard the okay. I heard what you didn't say. I heard you when you said come back.
Heard that okay before. I interrupted you. Carry on. One of them influences the rest.
And every one of them are necessary. Should one of them be ignored, you're leaving money on the table, right? There's an area of, and you will eventually feel it, right? You will eventually get to a point where it will start to negatively impact you. It won't be just like, I could do better here, but I'm okay. In general, and here's why this is important. Like you said, fortifying your health, which is why we named our company that, right? You are arming yourself and hedging your bet against the inevitabilities of things that are going to come to you, okay? Because here's what happens. We get older, so the processes of aging start to factor in more and more. The world's not getting any slower or less
stressful,
inundated with stimulus.
Correct.
Okay. That there's more words thrown at us every day. There's more entertainment. There's more education. There's more people to talk to. There's more ways to make money. There's more money in circulation. There's new things being discovered. There are shifts in the economy, shifts in the world. You know, all these things happen, shifts in our own personal lives, right? We have kids move away, family members come, family members go, houses change, locations change, jobs change, right? And so the inevitabilities of life as life moves forward, that having one of these areas not in check to some degree.
Did you just hear that?
Was that thunder?
That was thunder.
Cool.
I don't think the microphones picked it up, but that was sick.
God, I hope they didn't. I need to get a refund if they pick something that far away. That the point here is not to be good at it for good at its sake. The point here is that you have to touch.
That was a good okay.
Mm-hmm.
That was not.
No. I'm checking back my have to. Touching every area is what keeps you in the game the best for the longest. And from my point of view, gives you a great chance of living as pain-free, disease-free, and able to handle life's stressors as can be. So now go back to which one do you think is the, in your opinion, which one is the biggest key?
The story, from my opinion, my perspective,
mm-hmm.
The story affects all the other 4 keys. If this was a key ring and you had a master key and 4 other keys.
Like a janitor?
Oh, we're doing some cleanup. Clean up on aisle 4. Let's clean up that story. You done should it all over yourself, and there's a mess to clean up.
You done shoulded.
You done did it. Done did it well. That, and hear me out for a second, this is why I believe this. People have stories about how they move their body and what that means about them. Whether, if you're a yogi, there's an identity attached to that. You're a CrossFitter or a power lifter. The story that you tell about what that movement means about you carries a lot of weight. Not necessarily physical weight, but a weight about how you interact in your sexual relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Because movement impacts your body. Sexual relationships also, and intimacy, impact your body. So the story that you tell and how you sweat and the way you prefer to sweat also impacts the way that you interact with people. It is who you choose as your partner, who you choose as your community, who you're in alignment with. And those stories are multifaceted. So you could break out sweat, sex, sear, and sleep. And every individual has a story about what those things mean to them and what a priority they are to them. Now, some of these are not huge pain points for people that carry shame. So if we were going to talk about sleep, because I believe sleep is going to be the most benign pain point that people would like more sleep.
Sure.
It may not be a priority, but the story about sleep of shaming themselves or it being accessible, I don't personally believe is as loud as the other three.
Sure. I agree.
So that's why I believe that the story piece of it is the master key to the other things. Because we talked about at the beginning, you can sweat and cook for yourself and sleep and recover and possibly have a mediocre sex life. But the story that you tell yourself, you could shit talk yourself into somewhat success in all of those areas for a short amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to carry stress, and it's not going to give you the longevity or the fortification that you're looking for a long period of time. But in short periods of time, you could have success in all of those areas for I don't want to say indiscriminate. That makes it sound longer than I mean it to be. For a set amount of time as like a maintenance agreement until until something disrupts that and you find I wasn't as fortified as I thought because the story that I tell myself about each of those things isn't as straight as I thought it was.
And you only know really what you're working with when it gets pressure.
Oh, yes, please.
Yeah.
Please, please, please. Please, welcome to Justin's TED Talk. That'll preach, that dog will hunt, whatever the language is. Like,
did you know there's a word for when you combine aphorisms? And I cannot think. Sayings like, it's not rocket science or it's not brain surgery.
Okay.
Like you could say it's not rocket surgery.
Okay.
There's a word for combining those things, and I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. And there is, yeah, it's like, that dog will out of the woods yet, something like that. Something like that. So yes, you don't know what you're working with until it's under pressure, right? Which is most well-known analogy, in my opinion, is the analogy of a diamond, right? What's the test of a diamond? Well, you can't break it under pressure. It can withstand extreme amounts of pressure, extreme amounts of heat, and then it gets cut. And so the biggest factor to pay attention to, the biggest screen for each one of these areas, is how does it hold up in unusual circumstances, or unusual, likely not the right word, is how does it hold up in more challenging circumstances, right? So, your movement routine. What does it look like when you have a baby? What does it look like when your job schedule changes? What does it look like when you have less equipment, right? Or less time? Your sex life. What does it look like when one of the other person is not feeling pretty?
I was going to say froggy.
Yeah, there you go.
We'll go with pretty.
What does it feel like when one of the other persons is tired, or one of the other person is particularly more stressed than the other, or, as circumstances change, your food. What does it look like when you're not prepared, right? What does it look like when you actually don't cook for yourself and you make choices about what you put in your body, right? The pressure circumstances, let's say, or the extenuating circumstances. Your sleep. What does it look like when you have a baby? What does it look like when work is asking more of you, or your schedule is misaligned from what it normally is, right? And then the mindset's easy. The story is an easy one. It's not an easy thing to to work out. But it's easy to think about this is what happens to your thoughts when things don't go as the way that you plan them to. Everyone is going, that's the first one everybody's going to relate to, is going to be like, oh yeah, I start instantly X, Y, and Z, talking shit to myself, getting afraid, backing up, getting silent, getting still,
taking control,
absolutely
everything.
My butthole gets super tight. And we're looking for neutral butthole status, everybody. And
soft jaw, neutral butthole.
Also, I agree with you. It is the story that you tell yourself about yourself and about everything else. All those other categories those are all acts. Mm-hmm. Those are all things that we can work on. And we can get reps in. And I know nobody knows anything about how to get reps with the story they tell themselves, right? How to work out their mindset, which is something that we talk a lot about in our world, in Fortify Health Coaching, and with our clients and with our community and the people that see us on social media. And so when we get down to the word level, which is where we start with everybody, how we've been taught and how we are still learning, is we teach people how to work on their mindset by changing their words, right? And getting the breath into the words that they're using, which is typically largely a missed component in every other mindset training that you've ever done, right? Like gratitude journals. Yeah, they're great. And if you're still breathing in, if your breath's still trapped in your chest, it's not really going to do a lot for you, right? You're writing things down, and that's cool, and you're practicing, and it's a step forward.
It's helpful.
It's just not the thing that you think it is, right?
It's helpful. Yeah. Is it a great tool to get that out? 100%.
Yeah.
Okay. Gratitude is a catalyst to change. I will stand by that. If you're looking to change your story, though, gratitude journaling isn't going to be enough. It is if you were going to take that analogy of gratitude and breathe into it, mm-hmm. and create space where you not only embrace it, but it indwells in you, like from head to toe, that is what changes a story. And so to add on what you're sharing is a lot of this work that we've seen taught, preached, like it's a gospel, doesn't talk about how to move it from the chest to the belly. Mm-hmm. So people get frustrated and this didn't work for me. Well, was it the tool? Do you need to be better at the tool? Or do we just need to tweak it a little bit and give you more context so that you can fully embrace it and see the movement that you want? You know what I think about is you're much better with tools than I am. Okay. 1,000,000% better than tools. So this is going to be Stacy's version of a story of trying to screw something in with a screwdriver.
Let's go for it.
Okay. Have you put something together that you can't, like usually a piece of furniture, maybe it's from IKEA, and you're supposed to screw sets in a hole and you can't really see where the screwdriver is. You can't see the screwdriver meet the head of the screw.
Yes, so it's in a pocket.
And so you're just like fishing around and like trying to turn it, and you're like, I hope I get it right. And then eventually the tip of the screwdriver meets the head of the screw, and you're like, oh, that's how it works. That's how I see breath work, bringing breath to the story, as when the tip of the screwdriver meets the screw, and it like, I'm locked in now. I've got this. This is sturdy. I can build on this.
Man, that's a good analogy.
Isn't it?
Yeah. Golf claps for Stacy.
I think I did one yesterday too. I don't recall, but I think I pulled one out yesterday.
I mean, on the list of things that make me happy, that's one of them, right? Good analogies and that carry and make sense. So in that way, it doesn't matter the tool that you use. You're only going to make incremental progress in that turning, right? If we're talking about screwing that in, until you get the breath in there, and that helps to lock it in and seat it and have the pressure that you're applying transferred to the result that you want.
Transfer into sturdy scaffolding to build. So when life
and repeatable.
we can put some weight on this.
Right.
Okay, so since we are in agreement, which I'm so glad we are, because that would be really awkward if we weren't. It'd be awkward. It'd be a weird day in life. How do you see the story impact how people sweat?
So
how could it? Because we can't speak for other people, but we've been doing this work long enough that we have a lot of client reps that we see the same story perpetuate.
Well, you just talked about it. If the story that I tell myself is that I'm a yogi, that's my identity, then it's not likely you're going to find me in the dumbbell rack, in the dumbbell section.
Vice versa, too. Right, though.
Correct. If I'm a bodybuilder, unlikely you're going to find me as much in the yoga studio, right? So how you think of yourself typically dictates the direction you lean when it goes to what you choose to do, right? You know, pregnant women, because they've received not great advice. This is starting to shift a little bit more now, but like, oh, you can't pick up anything. You can't move your body that way because you just need to go on walks because we don't want to break you because you're fragile. Not true. But that's going to dictate how you adjust your movement, right? You may have been a female who got after it in the gym, and then all of a sudden, now that you're in this new phase, you're having second thoughts, right? And that's going to influence how you move. If you have always been good at lifting heavier loads than the people you surround yourself with, then you're going to consider yourself strong, and you're going to lean more towards picking up heavy stuff off the ground, right? Or putting heavy stuff over your head. If you're a lighter individual who can control their body better than most people, you're going to find a bar, find rings, find a gymnastics style of movement. So you're going to do body weight style things is what I'm saying. So it is going to be, the story you tell yourself about how you want to look or how you identify, or even your history, right? You may have grown up as a kid being in gymnastics perpetually, right? Where, well, this is just what I've always been good at. Well, I mean, you've never tried anything else. So how do you know? That's one way.
Well, I want to bring a personal experience to this, because this is you and I, the CrossFitter and the yoga teacher. When we first started doing yoga together, when we were states apart, baby friends. How we even pulled off so many things. We did test a baby friendship with some heavy load.
White belt friendship.
Yeah, we're black belt friendship now, but like it was we actually, thinking about it, we elevated from white belt to black belt rather quickly. We got a lot of reps in a short amount of time. We tested it though, and we put weight on it and intentionally. So that was not happenstance. We partially we intentionally put pressure on it, and in other ways, just like we're talking about people's lives, pressure was put on us that we worked through. So coming back to the perspective of Stacy with purple hair. For those of you who don't know, there was a time not so long ago,
in a land not so far away,
that I had bright purple hair. Anything else you want to add to that story?
You took pictures with Mickey cookies.
I will still take them.
Was it a Mickey Mouse cookie? Is that the thing you were holding? And you wore zebra prints jacket top, something like that. There was some zebra in that picture.
I was wearing animal print pants that were going out of control. It was an animal print shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're accurate.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So yes.
So just painting the picture of who I was then. Justin will still say that hair doesn't lie. And
stand by that. Haircuts don't lie.
That here I am, this yoga teacher, this CrossFitter, in this baby friendship. I don't even remember why or how we started doing yoga together. So talk about that, because it is a story that switched for you. And now that breath work and yoga is a foundation of us helping people rewrite their story. So what was the story that switched for you?
Yeah. So one of the things that I always struggled with, part of it was a weakness. an exposed weakness is, and I still struggle with this today in terms of, what area physically are you less practiced in? And that's my mobility work, right? More than I was, not as much as I would like to be. And so you were like, hey, what if we just, I have a lot of experience in this. What if we just tried it out, right? I can just walk you through some stuff. It'll be nonchalant. It'll be casual, right? And it beat going to a yoga class for me, but not that I don't mind being around other people and all that. It just was inconvenient. And I wasn't factoring for that at the time, right? I was working from home and it just didn't make a lot of sense for me. And so, and I'd never been able to stick to it alone. So I was like, well, at least one day a week, if Stacy is willing to hop on a Zoom call with me and just walk me through some movements, then we can do this thing. And one session led to another, and it became more of like, there's more to this than just your body getting into better positions, right? It's something about your my mind wants to say chakra.
Oh,
it's your chakra,
yeah.
Which would connect with the theme of the story. That wasn't my thought at the time. It would be something about your feeling, your central feeling is just calmer after you do this practice. And I don't know why. This is me not knowing why, right? And back then, and not having an understanding of the nervous system and things of that nature. And so you leading me through that practice was more of like, okay, well, I don't identify as a yogi, right? And I realize that this is a tool in the tool belt that is very useful for things that CrossFit or that style of training is not useful for, right? Or not as useful for, right? Like it's going to increase your work capacity. Yoga, not going to increase your work capacity as much as doing a CrossFit workout, right? CrossFit, not necessarily going to increase your range of motion or ability to downregulate your central nervous system as yoga is. And we get into this, if you want to, move this microcosm of what is full spectrum physical fitness, then now we're picking up categories of physical fitness, right? Your range of motion and your ability to work and your ability to move load and your ability to, your stability at in range of motion, all that kind of stuff. So, it was a piece that was a weakness, and I was like, you know what? No better time than now. And someone who's willing to do it based on their own volition, right?
It was my own volition. Also, the words that I brought to you weren't typical, right? Yep. So we go back to the story. Okay, so we get through all of these. This next one, I think it's self-explanatory. I don't know how much of a deep dive we wanted to go into it. This could be a podcast in itself. Mm-hmm. Is the story surrounding sex and intimacy.
Well, let's, yeah. I want to make this point real quick before we move on, is every one of these are going to have a thread into the other ones. Mm-hmm. So it's less of a, less buckets and more spider webs, right? Because how you move your body is going to affect how you perform sexually or how you relate intimately and in other relationships, right? Typically, you're going to have better relationships with the people who sweat like you do, right? Yogis are going to get along with yogis more often and all that kind of stuff, right? So remember, sex is not just about sexual, like having sex, but having a relationship. That's a relationship bucket, let's call it, right? We're just using it because it's an S that sounds great.
Well, it's also one of those things we go into the stories about that people get really stuck on.
Right. And shameful of, and it's taboo and all that kind of stuff, right? So how you move is going to affect those relationships. It's also going to affect what you eat, right? You hang around a lot of CrossFitters, you're going to eat, paleo-ish. At least that's historically accurate, right? If you hang around a lot of yogis, you're going to do more greenish stuff, right? Like more vegetables and smoothies and vegans. Yeah. And whenever you powerlift or you're a bodybuilder, you're going to eat like those people eat because fried chicken and broccoli rice, right? And it goes down even into the sleep, right? Like sleep routines of a yogi and the sleep routines of a bodybuilder, although they have, although they might have similar intentions, the practice is going to look different, and the purpose that they go into it with is like, I'm growing muscle, and the yogi may be like, I am centering my chakra, or whatever the word is, regulating my nervous system.
To recover, I'm creating space, I'm doing all of those things, and it comes down literally to the last one of the story. Like everything comes down to the word level.
Yep. So
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Whoa.
So the words you use, the story you tell yourself about your relationships and about your sex life, at the word level, are going to affect how that shows up for you, right? They're going to affect how you do it or don't do it, right? Or how it has the ability to get better, or you have the ability to sabotage yourself there, right?
Even the story about food. So if somebody's really highly motivated by the relationships and wanting more sex, what happens? All of a sudden, my food story gets real clear. Well, I want to lean out. So my sex story gets loud. My workout story is loud, that if I want more sex and a better body, then I need to eat better. And sleep goes out the window, because our highly motivating factor does not include sleeping.
There's a lot better time spent in a bed than sleeping. Yeah.
And so you said you can work on each of these pieces, but you can't have the fruit of them all at the same time.
Right.
And so when we were talking about going through the story, I'm like, oh, I've watched people do this. I'm going to get me a man. I'm going to lose 30 pounds. All of a sudden they care about what they're eating, and their food story gets straight real quick, right? Then they get that man, they go get married, and what happens? Everybody puts on what? 20, 30 pounds?
Yeah.
They got comfortable. Like, that story stuck for a long enough time.
Yeah.
For you to get what you wanted, but it wasn't fortified. It was like, okay, I'm comfortable now.
Well, and you were more the pain of not having a partner, and the pain of looking a certain way as a single individual with no committed intimate relationship was bigger. That pain was bigger than whatever the story was around food. Than whatever however good that cookie tasted, or all that kind of stuff. And so when you see it as, okay, what is the story that I'm telling myself about this? What are the words I'm using surrounding this thing, right? An easy one to pick out is, how do you talk about the food that you eat? That one is so prevalent because people will go, okay,
I'm so curious as to this.
I'm eating good today.
Ooh. Or I ate bad today. I love that you.
I ate bad this weekend, so Monday I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
I love that you brought that up, because that's not language that I use. So I was like, ooh, where's he going with this?
Yeah, everybody can relate to that. There's not one person listening to this podcast who has not used good or bad as a descriptor of their nutrition habits. We've done it, right?
Previous versions of me, 100%.
Right. So, and if you're that person, this is not us judging the fact that you do that. What I will give you is that that's not going to be helpful in helping yourself learn how to eat for your health and learn how to fortify your health by using your food. Because if you're still looking as food as a moral thing, good or bad, right? Food can't lie, cheat, or steal, by the way. So good or bad is not actually an accurate description. It's the story that you tell yourself about that food, right? Are Lay's potato chips good or bad? What's your story around Lay's potato chips? Because if you were a child and the only time you got to sit in your parents' lap was when they had Lay's potato chips because they were chilled out and you ate Lay's potato chip with them, seems like a good thing to me, because that's a warm memory, right? That's a fond memory, right?
Do you want a tangent Frito-Lay story?
Oh, a tangent Frito-Lay story. Yes. Sorry. I wasn't putting together the words for a second.
Frito-Lay is who makes Lay's. My dad worked for Frito-Lay when I was a wee little Stace. Okay?
A wee little Stace.
I was a
Just got a new nickname. Go ahead.
wee little Stace.
Uh-huh.
So he could drive the Frito-Lay truck home. So that was his work vehicle. So they'd load up for the day and he'd go deliver all of his Lay's potato chips, Doritos, and all of that.
Yeah.
And then park the Frito-Lay truck in front of the house and we could go into the truck and pick whatever we wanted. Whatever we wanted. So when you're telling that story, what do Lay's chips mean to you? For me, like,
this is why baking doesn't affect you.
This is why.
But those chips get you every time, huh?
Okay. Well, cool. There was a time that Cool Ranch Doritos did not exist. Okay. Not in your lifetime, I believe. I think in your lifetime, Cool Ranch Doritos.
Oh, okay. You're saying you knew a time.
Cool Ranch Doritos first came out, this girl was hangry. Cool Ranch Doritos. Okay, Cool Ranch Doritos.
Hell yeah.
A chokehold on like 10-year-old Stacey. Now, okay, we all know what happened when I was 10 years old too. My parents got divorced when I was 10. Cool Ranch Doritos enter the scene. Went from wee little Stace to Chubster Stace quickly. Okay?
And thank God Cool Ranch Doritos weren't weed. Okay, that's all I got to say. Okay.
That's when I wasn't eating.
Gotcha.
That's when I was drinking Diet Coke
Yeah.
and smoking cigarettes.
Sure.
That was the weed era. I was the thinnest I've ever been on Diet Coke, cigarettes, and weed.
That'll happen to you. Go ahead. So, wee little Stace, Cool Ranch Doritos.
Cool Ranch Doritos. So, stories that mean something, okay? My dad takes me on a bike ride. Add some Hawaiian Punch. Do you know Hawaii for that red, nasty soda? Combination of Cool Ranch Doritos, Hawaiian Punch, chunky little Stace, and a bike ride. End up hurling on the side of Edison Avenue in Huntington Beach, California. Okay? I have not had a Cool Ranch Dorito since. I've not had a Cool Ranch Dorito. And I didn't ride a bike again until I was 33 or 34. I correlated those stories with if I ride a bike, I'm going to throw up.
Mm-hmm.
Have not had a Cool Ranch Dorito or Hawaiian Punch since. Coming back to that story. So now when you talk about my journey of all I did is I wanted to go to spin class and not throw up and not die the first time I went back to a gym. These stories for people are old. And what started as a great memory of, like, for me, Lay's potato chips. I'm like, my dad pulled up in the truck. Like I had the Frito-Lay truck. Go get me some grandma's cookies and all those things. It's not morally good or bad, but you can see, like, in just that little tangent, which I find was applicable to the stories that we tell, that I was a 10-year-old kid and didn't ride a bike or eat a chip for 22 years because of one bad experience. You could put that to anything on that list. Why I don't sweat, why my intimate relationships don't look like they want to.
Yeah.
Why my sleep sucks, any of that. So, yeah, not good or bad.
So what the language I find most helpful is this food nutrient dense or not? Does it have nutrition? Like, does it actually have nutrients that I need or not? Or is this appropriate for my current goal? Right now, that goes all the way back to the story you tell yourself and getting clear on what you're actually doing right now, what you're trying to do.
What your goal is.
Right. What is your goal with your body? What do you have an objective right now? So there are better terms we can use there than good or bad, but that one's just the easiest thing to pick up. Matter of fact, what you're reminding me of now is I used to have a buddy back in school. His name was Dylan, and he brought his lunch every single day. I do not remember a time off the top of my head that he didn't eat, that he ate ate school lunch. He brought his lunch every day from the time that I knew him in elementary school to the time we graduated high school. Always brought his lunch. And one of the things that he always had in his lunch was Cool Ranch Doritos, not very rarely, not that I can remember, was it a different flavor. He always had Cool Ranch Doritos, and the reason I remember that is because we would always ask him if he had any more or like extra or things of that nature. I just always remember that. So yeah, I don't remember a time when we didn't have Cool Ranch Doritos.
I figured as much, because if they showed up when I was 10, you weren't even born yet.
Okay, moving on. You're right. I wasn't born yet. You're historically accurate. You're historically accurate.
The world wasn't ready for that level of greatness. The world needed more time before you arrived
to adjust,
to prepare,
to adjust to the shirts. Sure.
Not even the green one today.
So
bring it home.
So the only one that we haven't talked about so far is sleep. That's going to be easy enough to correlate with the story you tell yourself about your sleep. Is going to be, how important do you think sleep is, right? Like if you're like, hey, I'll sleep when I'm dead, and you're a hustler, then hey, that's your story about sleep right now, right? Is I don't think sleep's that important. I'm 20s and 30s and whatever, like it's not that big a deal if I get 4 or if I get 7 hours, like I'm kind of sort of the same no matter what in general. At least that's the story that I tell myself, whether the physical metrics support that or not. Also, am I afraid to go to sleep because that's the only time I'm actually alone and the world's actually quiet, or I have a hard time going to sleep because the things and the dreams that pop up when I do sleep, or my inability to sleep worries me, or whatever that thing is. Or I've never been, I grew up in a family that were always night owls, and so we didn't really sleep, or we slept at inappropriate time. We slept at opposite times of the day where the sun was up and all that kind of stuff. This also is going to go back to, what kind of career do you have, right? Like if you're a night shift person, then sleep is going to be in the daytime and your circadian rhythm is going to be flip-flop. The point being, yes, stories go into the story that you tell yourself about your sleep, about your food, about your sex and relationships, and about the way you move your body, is those things are ultimately going to dictate how healthy, and I'm using that as air quotes, but also literally how much health you accumulate and you keep and you defend as you move forward, right? And so getting the story straight, getting the words straight, which we find to be best on a piece of paper, and working people through that process, which is what we do professionally, is the quickest way to start to ingrain and consistently the behaviors and consistently behave in the way that a healthy person would. So yes, all the categories: sleep, sweat, sex, sear, and story. Take some inventory, see what's going on with those keys, and
what doors they're going to unlock,
and what doors they can unlock. And when you need some help and when you want to have a conversation, you can always come to our Instagram, find us on there. So if you guys have any questions, let us know, and we'll talk to you again next time.